surrogacy lawyer in Canada, and I want to talk about a recent tax case. Yes, a tax case that has implications for surrogacy in Canada. So first, let's start with facts. There was a man in Canada who was pursuing egg donation and surrogacy on his own as a single parent by choice. And many people going through this process want to essentially write off some of the tax expenses as medical expense. It's expensive. And he was no different, but he ran into some challenges and found himself arguing about it at the Tax Court of Canada. So what we've learned from this case is that he started pursuing surrogacy locally. He had a friend in Ottawa who agreed to be a surrogate. He signed a contract with her and her husband, but after a couple of embryo transfers, it failed. So he went on to pursue surrogacy internationally and found a surrogate in Nepal. When he found himself in the Tax Court of Canada arguing over the medical expenses, he was in a position where the surrogacy agreements were going to come out as evidence. However, he wanted to ensure that they were protected because they had language in them about confidentiality, saying that everything in these agreements were confidential. And so he didn't want them to become part of the public record. So the man who pursued surrogacy never planned to use these agreements in the trial. It came out because the Crown wanted to use them. And so the man, the intended parent, brought a motion asking the judge to treat the surrogacy agreements as confidential. And so the judge had to go through a legal analysis to figure out whether this was appropriate. Given that we have a system with an open court principle, most court proceedings are public, the documents are public, and yet there were some very special circumstances here. There are children, although there was a bit of a wrinkle because this man had been talking to the media previously about his surrogacy journey and did name his children, so some of his argument the Crown was able to poke holes in. But in addition to the children, there were the surrogates. They were not parties to this tax proceeding. They were under the impression that these agreements were confidential, and the documents themselves, while they were going to be protected, the Crown was allowed access, the courtroom was still open to the public, and so there was enough of a balancing that the judge decided, yes, these surrogacy agreements could be treated as confidential. The motion was granted, and what that means is those surrogacy agreements and a few documents referring to them were sealed. So if I were to show up to court and try and obtain access as a member of the public, I should not be able to access those surrogacy agreements. But I can see this decision, it's public, and we can all get the benefit of the analysis and what was considered a medical write-off. And unfortunately for this man, his expenses with respect to egg donation and surrogacy were not authorized, although a few other things seem to have been sent back for reconsideration. And so we do learn the importance of having confidentiality language in surrogacy agreements, and this is an important precedent moving forward to know that they will actually be upheld. That's it for this video. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.